Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I am so excited for today's conversation because we are tackling something that, it feels small, but it's actually huge.
It really is.
You're talking about this very specific moment in time that happens to, well, every single one of us, pretty much every single day.
It might be the most universal experience in human interaction, isn't it?
I think it is. It really is. It doesn't matter who you are, where you work, or who you live with. You walk into the office in the morning, or you meet a friend for a coffee, or, you sit down at the dinner table with your family at 6 p.m., and someone looks you in the eye and asks that one universal question.
How was your day?
How was your day? Just four little words.
Yeah.
And yet, for so many people, and I'm not just talking about English learners here, I mean native speakers too, this question is secretly kind of dreaded.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the most common question in the world, but somehow the most difficult one to answer in an interesting way.
It's a real paradox, isn't it? Because you just live the day. You have all the data. I mean, you were there for every single second of it.
Right.
And yet, when that question comes at you, the mind just, well, it goes blank.
Completely blank. It's like a deer in headlights. And so what do? We default to the robot answer, the safe answer, we say.
It was good.
It was good. Or if we're feeling really adventurous, maybe it was fine.
And just like that, the conversation just hits a brick wall. It's over before it even had a chance to begin.
It was good is the ultimate conversation killer. It's the linguistic equivalent of a beige wall. It tells you absolutely nothing. It has no texture, no color, no hook.
It's a shutdown mechanism, really. I mean, it's functional, sure.
Yeah.
It signals to the other person, okay, I'm alive, I'm not currently in a crisis, and yes, I am standing here in front of you.
Right. The basic vitals are stable.
Exactly. But it doesn't invite connection. It doesn't tell a story. It gives the other person absolutely nothing to grab onto to, keep the ball rolling.
It's like you're playing catch, but instead of throwing the ball back, you just drop it at your feet and walk away.
That is the perfect analogy. And for you listening, for those who are learning English, this is such a common trap. You work so hard on your grammar, your vocabulary, your reading comprehension.
All the hard stuff.
All the hard stuff. But if you get stuck in the "it was good" trap, you just stay on that intermediate plateau. Breaking out of that robotic response is actually a major milestone on the road to fluency.
It's the difference between just surviving a conversation and actually thriving in one. And that is exactly what we are exploring today. We are doing a deep dive into a fascinating set of materials titled Articulate Daily Narratives, Advanced English Conversational Strategies.
I know. That title sounds a little intimidating, doesn't it?
It sounds very academic. Articulate Daily Narratives.
It does. But I promise the actual content is incredibly practical. It's grounded. It's essentially a roadmap for upgrading your small talk. The goal of this source material is to take you, the learner, from those basic robotic answers to responses that have, well, personality.
Personality. I love that word in this context. It's not just about information, it's about personality.
It's absolutely crucial. The source material argues that the goal isn't just to be grammatically correct. It's to be expressive, to be engaging, to give your answer personality. Because when you're learning a new language, you often feel like you lose your personality, don't you?
Oh, 100%. I've felt that myself in other languages. You're so focused on not making a mistake, on just getting the verb tense right, that you become this boring version of yourself.
Yes.
You simplify your thoughts just to match your limited vocabulary.
Exactly. You become a simpler, flatter version of who you really are. The whole mission of this deep dive and of this source material is to reverse that process. We want your English to be as interesting, as complex, and as, frankly, messy as your actual life.
We want you to sound like you. So let's unpack this. We have a lot of ground to cover today. The source material breaks this down into some really clear, actionable sections. First, we're going to talk about upgrading your adjectives, getting away from good. Then we're going to talk about something called the narrative arc, which is just a fancy way of saying how to tell a mini story.
We're also going to look at some very specific phrasal verbs that native speakers use all the time to summarize action. And this is a big one, how to add emotional layers to your answer so you don't sound like a robot.
And finally, we'll talk about the ping-pong nature of conversation, how to keep it going. It's a really comprehensive toolkit. By the end of this hour, I promise you, you will never want to say it was good ever again.
That's the goal. Let's officially retire "it was good."
Okay, let's do it. So let's start right at the beginning, section 1. Escaping the trap of good and bad, the adjective upgrade. So why exactly is good such a problem? Why does the source material seem to hate this word so much?
Well, let's really think about it. Good is a judgment. It's a verdict. But it is not a description.
If I tell you my day was good, you don't know anything at all about what actually happened.
Right.
You don't know if I won the lottery. You don't know if I just had a really delicious sandwich for lunch. You don't know if I just, managed to avoid getting fired.
Right. It's completely vague. It covers everything from I found $5 on the street to I got the biggest promotion in my career. It's just too broad.
It's what the source calls low-resolution communication. It's like looking at a really blurry photo. You can see the outline of a person, but you have no idea who it is. The source material argues that we need to swap good for words that carry a specific flavor, words that have high resolution.
Okay, so let's get into those high-resolution words. The source offers 4 specific alternatives that are really high leverage. Let's dive into the first one. This is a word I hear all the time in business contexts. Productive, as in, how was your day? It was pretty productive. Productive. This is a fantastic upgrade. Think about the flavor of this word. It's positive, yes, but it's a very specific kind of positive. It implies achievement.
It implies that you actually did things. You didn't just exist.
Exactly. It implies you had a list, whether it was mental or physical, and you crossed things off of it. It signals focus. If you tell me your day was productive, I immediately picture you sitting at a desk, typing, making calls, moving things forward.
It's the perfect word to use with your boss, right? If your manager walks by your desk at the end of the day and asks, "How was your day?" saying it was productive sends a very clear, very positive message.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds a bit childish in a professional setting. Sounds like you're talking about a school field trip. But productive, that sounds like an employee who is earning their salary. It signals competence.
It's almost like a humble brag, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit.
It is. It totally is. It's saying, I am effective. I am on my game. It shifts the entire narrative from, I existed today to, I accomplished things today. It implies a sense of agency. You attacked the day. The day didn't just happen to you.
I love that. Agency. Okay, let's look at the second one. This is a personal favorite of mine because, honestly, it describes my life most days. The word is hectic. It was a bit hectic.
Now, this is a really fascinating distinction the source draws out, and I want to spend a little time here. Many learners, and even native speakers, rely on the word busy. I was busy. It was a busy day.
Right. Busy is the default. But busy is also kind of flat.
It is. Busy is just a statement of fact regarding your time. It means you were occupied and you had no free time. But hectic has a completely different energy.
Busy just means you had a lot to do.
Yeah.
Hectic feels like chaos.
Yes, exactly. Let's drill down into that difference. Imagine you were sitting in a quiet room, writing a report. You start at 9 a.m. and you finish at 5 p.m. You never stopped working. You were extremely busy. But was it hectic?
No, not at all. That sounds focused, maybe even peaceful in a weird way.
Right, exactly. Now imagine a different day. The phone is ringing off the hook. You have 3 meetings in different buildings. Someone spills coffee all over the break room floor. You suddenly realize you forgot to send a crucial email, and you're literally running from one floor to another. That is hectic.
Hectic implies speed and maybe a little bit of panic.
It implies speed, and it implies a little bit of disorder. It's the feeling of being slightly out of breath all day long.
I love that image. If you say, my day was hectic, I immediately picture you juggling.
Yes, juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle. It paints a picture of constant movement and reaction. So, whereas busy is a statement of fact about your schedule, hectic is a statement of the vibe.
It's the vibe of the day. And when you use hectic, you are inviting the listener to feel that adrenaline rush with you.
It's a visceral word. You can almost feel your heart rate go up just hearing it. And honestly, in our modern world, hectic is often the most accurate description of our lives.
That is so true. Okay, let's look at the third alternative the source gives us. This is a phrase that has a little narrative twist. It turned out better than I expected.
This one is so interesting because it's not just an adjective. It's a sentence stem that immediately introduces a story arc.
A story arc? How so?
Well, think about the implication. If something turned out better than expected, what does that automatically tell me about your mindset at the start of the day?
It means you expected it to be bad, or at least difficult.
Right. It implies a before state of anxiety or dread or worry, Maybe you had a presentation you were really scared of. Maybe you had a difficult conversation you had to have. Maybe it was just a dentist appointment.
And then there's a twist in the plot.
The plot twist. It implies relief. It tells the listener, I was worried, but it's okay now. And that immediately makes your answers so much more interesting. It acts as a hook.
It's a teaser trailer for a story. If someone says to me, it turned out better than I expected, my immediate automatic response is, oh yeah, why? What were you worried about?
Exactly. You've hooked the listener. You aren't just reporting the score of the game. You're telling a story of the comeback. It adds psychological depth because you are sharing your internal state, your expectations versus the reality.
I really like that. It moves the conversation from the external world of events to the internal world of feelings. Okay, the fourth one in this section. This requires a little bit of vulnerability. Honestly, it was exhausting.
And please note the word honestly at the beginning there. The source material highlights this as a really crucial part of the phrase.
Why is honestly so important there?
Because exhausting is a heavy word. It's not just tired. Tired is physical. You need a nap. Exhausting can be mental, emotional, and physical all at once. By saying honestly, at the beginning, you're signaling a moment of authenticity. You are dropping the polite social mask.
It's the anti-Instagram answer. On social media, everyone's day is amazing or productive or blessed. But in real life, sometimes a day is just exhausting.
And acknowledging that is incredibly powerful. It signals vulnerability. And vulnerability is the fast track to connection.
That's so true. If you tell me your day was good, I'll probably nod and forget it 5 seconds later. But if you look me in the eye and you say, honestly, it was exhausting, I stop, I listen, my immediate instinct is to say, oh no, come sit down, tell me about it.
It triggers empathy. And that is the difference between a textbook interaction and a real human interaction. These choices, productive, hectic, better than expected, exhausting, they instantly give personality to the answer. They take that beige wall and they paint it with bright, vivid colors.
Okay, so we've upgraded the adjective. We've moved from good to something with real texture. But the source material is very clear that that's not enough. You can't just drop a cool adjective and then walk away.
No, you can't.
You need to move into section 2, the narrative arc. Or, as I like to call it, the why.
This is where we transition from a one-word answer to a mini-story. The source introduces a very, very simple but powerful strategy here. You must tell a short story to explain the adjective you just used.
Right. Because if I just say, it was hectic, and then silence. It's still a bit abrupt, isn't it?
It's a cliffhanger. And not in a good way. It leaves the listener hanging. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop. They want to know what made it hectic.
The source suggests a comparative analysis here, which I think is really helpful. Let's look at the basic version found in the text. It was busy. Okay, fine. Now look at the better version. It was busy because I had back-to-back meetings all afternoon.
That magic word, because.
The because is the bridge. It connects the feeling to the fact.
The because is everything. It connects the feeling, which was busy, to the reality, which was meetings. It allows the listener to visualize your day. Humans are storytelling creatures. We are hardwired to crave cause and effect. We don't just want data. We want reasons.
And I have to pause on a specific phrase the source highlights in that better example. Back-to-back meetings.
Oh, this is such a gem. This is one of those phrases that separates intermediate from advanced.
I feel like we need to really unpack the cultural weight of back-to-back. It's such a vivid piece of modern English, especially in the workplace.
It is extremely visual. I want you, right now, to imagine your calendar, your Outlook, or your Google Calendar. You see the blocks of time, right? The meetings.
Right. Usually blue or gray blocks.
Now, normally you might hope for a little bit of white space between the blocks, a little 15-minute gap to breathe, to get a coffee.
Sure.
But back-to-back means the blocks are touching. The bottom of one meeting is the top of the next meeting. There is no gap.
There is literally no white space. Zero.
And no white space means no breathing room, no time to grab a coffee, no time to use the restroom, no time to even process what happened in the last meeting before you have to smile and start the next one.
It's a very specific type of corporate pain. I think we can all relate to that.
It is. It's a modern form of torture, some might say. And native speakers use that phrase constantly. Sorry, I'm back-to-back today. Can we talk later? I'm back-to-back until 4.
And if you, as a learner, use that idiom, I had back-to-back meetings, you instantly sound more fluent. It sounds like you really understand the culture of the English-speaking workplace.
Exactly. Compare that to saying, I had many meetings.
I had many meetings. That sounds like a math problem. Or something a child would say.
It sounds like a quantity. Back to back sounds like an experience. It conveys the stress and the compression of time in a way many just can't.
That's a fantastic distinction. So the strategy here is adjective plus because plus the reason. You are painting a scene for the listener.
You are inviting the listener into your office to see those awful, touching calendar blocks. You're sharing the experience.
Okay, so we have the adjective and we have the why. Now, to really flesh out that story, we need the right verbs. Section 3 of our deep dive is all about actionable language, specifically phrasal verbs and collocations.
This is often where I see intermediate learners get a little bit stuck. They have the vocabulary for the nouns, they know meeting, project, email, but they tend to use very generic verbs for the actions.
They say things like, I did a project, or I finished my emails.
Which is grammatically correct. I want to be very clear about that. If you say, I finished my emails, people will understand you. It's not wrong.
But it's not deep dive level. It's not advanced.
Exactly. It's not how native speakers usually summarize their day. It sounds a bit mechanical, a bit robotic. The source material points out that native speakers tend to use very specific phrasal verbs to summarize action. These verbs add texture and nuance to the movement of the day.
Let's run through the ones the source provides, because these are absolute gold for anyone wanting to sound more natural. The first one is wrapped up. I wrapped up a project.
Wrapped up. I love this image. Think about wrapping a gift. What are you doing when you wrap a present?
You're folding the paper neatly, you're taping it down, you're putting a bow on top, you're making it complete and tidy.
Exactly. It implies completion and closure. Finishing a project might just mean you stopped working on it for the day. Or maybe you abandoned it. But wrapping up a project means it is done, packaged, signed off, and sent away.
It's off your desk. And more importantly, it's out of your head.
It's leaving your mental space. There is a huge satisfaction in the phrase wrapped up. When you say, I finally wrapped that up, you can almost hear the sigh of relief in the verb itself.
It implies a successful conclusion, a neat ending. Okay, let's look at the second one. Caught up. I caught up on emails.
This is so crucial for modern life, where we are just constantly bombarded with information. Catching up. Think about the race metaphor here.
Right. To catch up with someone, you have to have been behind them.
Exactly. If you are catching up, it implies that you were trailing. The emails were winning the race. Your inbox was overflowing. You were losing.
We've all been there. The little red notification bubble on your phone is just growing and growing into this monster.
Yes. But today you put on your running shoes. You put in the work.
Yeah.
You spent the time. And now you are level again. You are running alongside the present moment instead of chasing it.
It's a feeling of maintenance, of getting back to baseline, a restoration of order.
Yes. It's very different from I wrote emails. I wrote emails is just a task. I caught up on emails tells a whole story of overcoming a backlog. It implies a struggle and a small but significant victory.
That is such a subtle but powerful distinction. Okay, what about this third one? I love this one. Ran a few errands.
Errands. This is one of those words that learners often don't know or don't use enough, but native speakers use it every single weekend of their lives.
It's the ultimate catch-all term for those little life admin tasks.
It is. Think about your Saturday morning. You have to go to the post office. You have to go to the bank. You need to go to the pharmacy to pick up toothpaste. And you have to drop off the dry cleaning.
No, you could say, first I went to the post office, and then I went to the bank, and after that I went to the pharmacy.
But please don't. Nobody wants to hear that. That's a grocery list, not a conversation.
Yeah.
It's boring, unnecessary detail.
So errands is the bucket that you put all those little tasks into.
Errands is the category that saves us from the boredom. You just summarize all of it. I ran a few errands this morning. It tells the listener, I did a series of necessary, small, slightly boring maintenance tasks outside of the house. It's efficient communication.
And I want to highlight the verb there. The source is very specific. We run errands.
Yes. We don't do errands. We don't make errands. We run them. That's the collocation.
Why do you think we run them? We're not usually jogging.
I suspect it's because it implies movement from place to place. You're zipping around town from here to there.
Right.
It implies a bit of hustle.
That makes sense. So, run errands. That's a key phrase to lock in. And the final one in this section, had dinner with friends.
Simple, but really effective. It rounds out the day. It's not just, I eat food. It's, I had dinner with, which immediately implies the social connection. It transforms a biological necessity eating into a social event.
So let's try to put this section together into one narrative. Instead of saying, I finished my work and I went to the store and then I ate, You could say something like, well, I wrapped up a big project at work, ran a few errands on the way home, and then had dinner with some friends.
See how much more professional and fluid that sounds? It flows. It has a rhythm to it. It's not just a robotic list of data points. It feels like a life actually being lived.
It really does. But wait, I feel like we're still missing something. We have the description, we have the reason, we have the actions, but we're missing the heart of it.
We're missing section 4, the human element, expressing emotion.
The source material is very, very clear on this point. Emotion makes conversation more human. You can list your actions all day long, but if you don't tell me how you felt about them, I don't really know you. I just know your schedule.
This goes back to that idea of vulnerability. It's about sharing your internal state, not just your external schedule. And I think this is where learners often get shy. They stick to the facts because facts are safe.
Facts are safe. Feelings can feel risky.
But feelings are where the real connection happens. The source gives us 3 specific emotional reactions to link to our stories. And I think it's important to understand why these particular emotions are so powerful.
First up, relieved. As in, I was so relieved to finally finish everything.
Relieved. This is the perfect partner for wrapped up. If you had a project that was hanging over you and you finally wrapped it up, what is the natural feeling?
Relief. It's the exhale. It's that few moment.
It's the removal of stress. It tells me that you were worried or you were under pressure, and now that pressure is gone. It completes the narrative arc we talked about. You had a conflict, which was the work, a climax, doing the work, and a resolution, which is the feeling of relief. You've told a whole story in one simple sentence.
What about the opposite end of the spectrum? The source mentions overwhelmed. I felt a little overwhelmed today.
This pairs perfectly with hectic. If your day was full of back-to-back meetings, unexpected calls, spilling coffee, naturally the emotional result is feeling overwhelmed.
It's the feeling of the waves crashing over your head and you can't catch your breath.
That's a great image for it. Now, is it okay to admit that in casual conversation?
I think a lot of people worry it just sounds like complaining.
It can, if you overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
But used correctly, it's actually a tool for validation. Everyone feels overwhelmed sometimes. If you act like you are a superhero who is never overwhelmed, people can't relate to you. But if you admit, man, I was so overwhelmed today, people relax, they feel safer with you.
It builds camaraderie. The listener thinks, oh, good, it's not just me. It creates a bond. Me too, friend, me too.
Exactly. It's a shared human experience.
In the third emotion, the source highlights is a positive one, but a deep one. Proud. You know, I was actually quite proud of myself.
We don't say this enough. There is a cultural hesitancy, especially in certain cultures, to praise oneself. We don't want to sound arrogant or like we're bragging.
But the source says it's okay.
It is more than okay. It's healthy. If you had a really productive day or you solved a difficult problem, it is perfectly fine to say, I was proud of myself. It shows you take ownership of your good day. It shows healthy self-esteem.
And how do you think a listener usually reacts to that?
They almost always smile. They say, that's awesome. Good for you. Or you should be proud. It creates a positive feedback loop in the conversation. You are allowing them to celebrate with you, which is a wonderful form of connection.
So now we have the complete anatomy of a real answer. It's the adjective plus the reason, plus the action, plus the emotion.
It's a formula for authenticity.
Okay, let's see this in action. Section 5 of our deep dive is a case study. The source provides a model dialogue between 2 characters, Emma and Liam, that puts all these pieces together.
This is where we see the theory applied. It's always good to see the mechanics in motion. It's like looking under the hood of a car after you've read the manual.
Definitely. Okay, so let's look at Emma's answer first. Liam asks how her day was. She says, pretty productive, actually. I finally wrapped up a report that's been hanging over me all week, so that felt great.
That is a masterclass in just 2 sentences. It's perfect.
Let's deconstruct it, piece by piece.
Okay, first, pretty productive. There's our upgraded adjective. It immediately sets the tone. Positive, professional.
Sure.
Then, I finally wrapped up a report. There's our specific phrasal verb for action. And notice the word finally. That little word adds a sense of time and struggle. This wasn't easy.
Check. But then she adds this beautiful, beautiful idiom that's been hanging over me all week.
Yes, hanging over me. I want to just pause on this visual. What do you see in your mind when you hear that phrase?
I see a dark cloud that's just following me around. Or maybe the classic sword of Damocles, that sword hanging by a single thread right above my head. A sense of doom.
It's such an evocative idiom. It creates instant empathy. We've all had that feeling of a task that we haven't done yet, and it's just looming. It's shadowing us. It ruins your lunch because you're thinking about it in the back of your mind.
Exactly. And by using that idiom, she raises the stakes of the story. It wasn't just a report, it was a psychological burden.
And then she brings it home with the emotion. So that felt great.
The structure is perfect. Adjective followed by the action with narrative detail and ending with the emotion. It's a perfect package.
It's concise, but it's incredibly deep. So much information and feeling in so few words.
Now let's look at Liam's answer. He says, "Not bad. A bit hectic in the morning. Lots of unexpected calls, but things slowed down later, so I can't complain."
He's doing something slightly different here, but it's equally sophisticated. He's describing the dynamic of the day, the changing rhythm.
Right. A day isn't always just one thing from start to finish. It changes.
A bit hectic in the morning, but things slowed down later. He's showing the progression of time. He's taking us on the journey with him, from chaos to calm, and he gives a specific detail to explain the chaos. Unexpected calls. That explains the hectic part.
And that phrase, "things slowed down," that's a really nice, natural way to say it got quieter or less busy.
Yes. It implies the pace of events changed. And he wraps it all up with a classic phrase, which is a perfect transition for us. So I can't complain.
Which brings us to our next section, Section 6, the native speaker soundboard.
The source calls these high-frequency expressions. I like to call them cheat codes.
Cheat codes. Why cheat codes?
Because you can pretty much memorize them as a single chunk, and when you use them in the right context, you instantly sound more natural. They are the phrases that native speakers use to fill the gaps. They're like the social glue that smooths over the edges of the conversation.
Let's dive deep into the meanings of these, because they're more than just words, right? They have a kind of philosophy behind them. Let's start with the one Liam just used. I can't complain.
I can't complain. This is a deeply philosophical statement if you really think about it. It's a mix of stoicism and gratitude.
It is. It's not saying my life is perfect.
Not at all. It's not everything is wonderful. It means, look, things aren't perfect. I have problems just like everyone, but on the whole, I'm alive. I have a job. I have my health. It could be worse.
It's a very safe, humble, and stable answer. It signals that you are coping well with life.
It signals stability. How are you? Can't complain. It's solid. It's dependable. It's a very common and comfortable response.
And related to that is the next one from the source. It could have been worse.
This is all about perspective. Maybe you missed your bus, but you managed to get a taxi. Maybe it rained on your way to work, but you had an umbrella. It could have been worse.
It shows you're a resilient person. You look on the bright side, or at least you acknowledge that there is a bright side.
Or at least you acknowledge that there was a much darker side that you managed to avoid. It puts your minor problems in perspective.
What about when things go well? The source suggests, I got a lot done.
This is a great, simple variation on productive. It's punchy. I got a lot done. It sounds very capable. It's one of those phrases that just makes you feel good to say. It affirms your agency and your effectiveness.
Now let's talk about the perception of time, because the source gives us two opposing phrases here that are fascinating. First, time flew by.
Time flew by. This happens when you're really engaged, busy, or having fun. We've all had those days. You sit down at your desk, you look at the clock, it's 9 a.m. You blink, you look again, and somehow it's 5 p.m.
Wow, where'd the day go? Time just flew by.
It suggests you were in a flow state or just incredibly occupied. It's generally a very positive thing to say about your day.
Versus the complete opposite. It dragged on.
Oh, the drag. You can feel the friction and the weight in that word. It dragged on.
It sounds heavy and slow.
It is heavy. This is the worst feeling. It's when you're bored or you're waiting for an important call. You're stuck in a meeting that never, ever ends. The minutes feel like hours.
Einstein said time is relative, right? A minute sitting on a hot stove feels like an hour, but an hour with a pretty girl feels like a minute.
Exactly. It dragged on is the hot stove of conversation. If you say, that meeting just dragged on forever, I immediately know exactly how you felt. I don't need any other description. I know you were staring at the clock, praying for release.
The source notes that you will hear these phrases everywhere. In offices, in cafes, at family dinners. These are not textbook phrases. They are the real fabric of daily life in English.
If you can master this short list,
Yeah.
Can't complain, time flew by, it dragged on, got a lot done, you can navigate, I'd say, 90% of small talk situations. You sound like you belong.
But conversation isn't a solo sport. It's not a monologue, and just having good answers isn't enough. And that brings us to section 7, the strategy of reciprocity.
Yes. The pro tip from the source. This is so important. Conversation is a two-way street. It is not an interview where I ask you a question, you give an answer, and then we just stare at each other in silence.
That's the worst. That awkward silence, you give this beautiful, well-crafted answer about your hectic day and the report you wrapped up, and then nothing.
It's so awkward. It kills the vibe completely. You have to return the serve. The source calls this the ping-pong nature of conversation. You hit the ball over the net, and you must expect the other person to hit it back. You must bounce the ball back to them.
And it's so incredibly simple to do. What are the magic phrases?
How about you? Or what about your day? Or even just, and you.
That's it. 3 or 4 simple words.
It seems so obvious, but I think learners often forget it because of cognitive load. They are so focused on getting their own answer right, using the new adjective, the correct phrasal verb, the right grammar, that when they finish their sentence, their brain just goes, okay, phew, I survived. I spoke English. I'm done.
They mentally check out. They wipe the sweat from their brow.
Right. But socially, that can come across as self-absorbed. It looks like you're the me monster, only interested in talking about yourself. If you don't ask the question back, you break the connection. The reciprocity is crucial. It signals, I care about you too. Now I want to hear your story.
So the golden rule is don't drop the ball, always pass it back. It's the social contract of conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if you just say, and you, that's enough. Just keep the ball moving.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. Adjectives, narrative arcs, phrasal verbs, emotions, high-frequency idioms, reciprocity. It feels like a lot of pieces to juggle.
It is a lot. It's a complete system for communication, really. But the source material does a great job of synthesizing all of this into a single actionable formula in the final section, section 8. It's called the ultimate formula, or the practice challenge.
Let's break it down. If you're listening to this right now and thinking, okay, this is great, but what do I actually say when I walk into work tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Here is the 3-step structure to practice.
Step 1. Give a general description using one of our upgraded adjectives. Do not say good. Say, it was pretty productive, or a bit hectic, or honestly exhausting.
Okay, step 1, description. What's step 2?
Step 2. Add a reason, or an example, the why. Use the magic word, because. Tell the mini story. Because I had back-to-back meetings all day. Or because I finally wrapped up that big report.
Got it. Step 2, reason, and step 3.
Step 3. Mention how you felt, the emotion. So I felt a little overwhelmed, or so I felt really relieved afterward.
Description, reason, emotion, DRE. I like that.
Let's look at the final example from the source to see this formula in its purest form. It goes, it was quite busy. That's the description. I had to finish a deadline before lunch. That's the reason, the story. But I felt really satisfied afterward, and that's the emotion.
It's so clean and effective. It was quite busy. I had to finish a deadline before lunch, but I felt really satisfied afterward.
It's not a novel. It's maybe 2 or 3 short sentences. But it tells a complete, compelling story. It moves you from textbook English to real-life English.
And that really is the whole goal here, isn't it? It's not about using big, fancy words to impress people. It's not about sounding like a walking dictionary. It's about genuine communication.
It's about clarity and connection. When you use this DRE structure, you are making it easy for the other person to understand you and to care about what you're saying. You are inviting them into your world for a moment.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
It means that the next time someone asks you, how was your day?
Mm-hmm.
You have a choice. You can say good. You can stay safe. You can stay behind that beige wall. Or you can take a deep breath and try the formula.
Maybe today wasn't just good. Maybe it was hectic. Maybe it was better than expected.
Maybe it dragged on.
And that's okay. The point is to be real.
I think the biggest takeaway from all this source material is that English learners often feel like they have to hide behind simple, positive language. They feel like they have to be polite and simple all the time. But this guide gives you permission to be complex, to be tired, to be proud, to be overwhelmed.
To be human.
Exactly. Language is just a tool to show your humanity to another person.
I love that. Okay, before we wrap up, see what I did there. Wrap up.
Very nice usage. I see you've been listening. You're wrapping up the deep dive.
I want to leave all of you listening with a final provocative thought. We've talked a lot today about describing your day that has passed, but I want you to think about your day right now.
Yes, the actual day you are living as you listen to this. Your current day.
I want you to stop for a second and look at your day so far. If you had to ban the word good, if I told you that word was now illegal, Which of the new words applies? Was it hectic? Was it productive? Did time fly by?
And why? What is the one specific thing that made it that way? What was your back-to-back moment? What was the errand you had to run? What was the report you wrapped up?
Try to formulate that full sentence in your head right now. Description plus reason plus emotion.
Even if you just whisper it to yourself in the car or at your desk. My morning was a bit hectic because of all the unexpected calls, and I felt a little overwhelmed.
Boom! You're already doing it. You've broken the habit.
It starts with one sentence, and then you do it again tomorrow. And eventually you might find you never say, "It was good," ever again.
Thank you so much for diving deep with us today into the art of the daily narrative. It turns out small talk isn't so small after all.
It's the biggest, most important part of our daily lives.
Go out there, tell your story, and remember to always ask, how about you? We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.